Hello, it's meow time for KittenousBeast gaming videos for cats and their people. KatzeLande Prime, episode 26. I've been a little bit frustrated with my efforts to create meaningful episode titles as I record these videos. In this instance, I've gone with the episode title Carbon Sink Reframe because my primary goal for this episode is to rebuild the carbon sink of my base. Um, Now that I have access to potent oxygen production capacity, with my ventilation system, which presently isn't at full pressure, uh, but now that I have that in place, I can comfortably reconfigure the base and expand it to whatever size I desire. Um, so in this instance, my thought is to possibly reframe the base a little bit um, in order to take advantage of the available resources that I have here. So yeah, I think that'll be part of the goal for today's episode here. Just checking how big this room is, um, because I'm going to be building not a pressure door, but a pneumatic door there. So we're going to extend this ladder down a little bit further. Not too far, just a few tiles down. Maybe that seems fair. Okay, so we're extending our ladder a little bit down, and here is where we're going to basically curb the edge of our base here. So I'm going to be using some insulated tiles here to basically frame out the bottom of the living part of my base. Um, and uh, as you can kind of see here, I am running along the edge, and this is kind of where there's sort of an intersection between this natural biome here and this edge of this ocean biome here. So as I'm thinking about how I want this to work, I'm going to be removing some of these pressure doors and creating additional airflow capacity here. Because what I want this to become is basically a natural carbon sink that draws off the carbon from the right-hand side of the base along with the carbon from the left-hand side of the base. So basically I want to be able to have access for dupes and airflow on both the right and the left side of my base. So I'm trying to open this up so that we can have that carbon dioxide flow out towards this carbon sink that I'll eventually build down here. Um, so with that in mind, I'm thinking, okay, if I'm going to be building my sink down here, uh, then this should all work just fine. Not a big deal. So, I'll continue to consider how I'm going to frame this out. I have an opportunity to capture a lot of sand and release a little bit of hydrogen. No big deal. But I can cut down here a little bit and kind of form a pretty excellent boundary here of where I kind of see the edge of this base being. So at this particular junction, I've sort of, here's my drop off, right? The carbon will flow here and then drop off and be processed along with the carbon that flows from here to drop off and be processed. So I'm going to have a very long string of these hydroponic farms, and we'll eventually fill most of them up with these oxyfern plants. It might take a long time, but I'll tell you, we've got quite a number of these oxyfern plants. So I think we're going to be able to make this work pretty easily. So that in mind, let's go ahead and place down our hydroponic tiles. You kind of know the general plan at this particular juncture. I'm going to use aluminum tiles as we sort of set the stage here for a very vast and large carbon dioxide processing facility um, That's how big I'm talking here. So, yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to get this number of oxyferns, but we want to have the capacity to basically manage the carbon dioxide for this whole facility largely through this set of oxyferns. So, that in mind, we'll place down some ladders. We'll carve out the necessary tunnels for initial work. And, there's access on the left side to these workspaces. Shouldn't really be too big of a deal. Um, I will hold off on building this initial set here, just because I think I could probably do some mopping to get these tiles cleared off. And I kind of want to look at perhaps doing a little bit of reconfiguration on this water reservoir, just so that we have a place where we're storing the water. I was even considering maybe moving it above this hydroponic farm, having the storage above it, just so that any gases that gather on the pool can just wash right off into the farm here. So I think this is probably a fairly good start to the project, and we'll let the dupes work on it. All right. Gosh, lots of skill points here. Some buildings are entombed. Okay, clear those out. So let's check some skill points, see what we can spend. All right, first of all, Ari wants to be recognized for his supreme demolition skills, so he's going to change his hat. And he's got 4 points saved up. So I could turn him into anything at any time. Here's Ellie. Let's work on getting towards this exosuit stuff. Although they've already got that bonus. So don't have any farms yet. Let's just do that. We'll make it happen. All right, Hassan. Plenty. Yeah, exosuit training. Yes, good. Nicola. Um, yeah, I'm not really sure what to go with here. I might go with maybe digging. Okay. Here's Otto. Otto is my artist. I gotta remember that I have this artist. Maybe we can do some art projects. And Ruby is such a boss. Get exosuit training, Ruby. Yeah, this is my super buff dude. This guy is so buff. He's got like, look at this. Where's his skills? I gotta look up this guy's skills. You'd be amazed. He gods the skills. Let's give everybody some upgraded hats. I think everybody else's hats are fine. Fabulous. Okay, spent our skill points. Great. Amazing. Okay, so we'll hopefully see some action on these builds here. Maybe I'll need to put a tile here so that they can jump or something. I don't know how I'm gonna make that work. They can come from this side though, and that side. So I'll let them do their work. They'll get it done. They're smart. I just noticed this refrigerator is full, so we should probably do something about that. What I'm going to do is fix this weird, I don't know what I was thinking. It's kind of a malformation in the setup here. So I'm going to just replace those tiles, get rid of this door, get rid of these tiles, and I'll place another fridge over here. So we have two fridges instead of one. Problem solved. Yeah, it's pretty genius, I think. I think that's going to work out famously. And I'll also do this so that we have a little bit extra space. And that's actually what this is all about. Like when I move these oxyferns down here, it's going to give my base so much more space, and it's going to just make the airflow less tedious. Dealing with the airflow. So it's a good move. I can start to put some airflow tiles in these and let the airflow just go down to this lower sink. Just let it all flow down and we'll be good to go. It's going to be great once it's finished. All right. One of my other goals for this particular time we have here is to complete the water processing system. So, um, what I'd like to do is build a system that can process polluted water into pure water and then use that pure water for some purpose. Either it's creating oxygen or, I don't know, like providing more water down here to this reservoir. That's probably what I'm going to do initially. So I want to just be able to think about where I'm going to build at. I sort of thought about building it down here. That certainly is a possibility. So let me see how I'm going to plan that out. Now, I should be able to put tiles here. So I may go ahead and just put in some regular old tiles. Get that figured out. All right. Now, let's talk about how this is going to work. So we're going to have two water sieves. Okay. All right. Now, these two water sieves, let's see, one is going to be pointing um, generally, I like to have them pointing away from each other. So I'm going to go like this, right? So there's three spaces between them. Okay, great. Now, what I'm going to do next is figure out how I want this system to sort of work. So first, I am going to have some auto sweeping action here, and I'm going to build a conveyor loader and two storage bins in this area. Now here's my plan. The the sweeper will pick up the polluted dirt that the water sieves produce, stick it into the conveyor loader, and the conveyor loader will move that polluted dirt to another location. I'm thinking maybe up here someplace. I'll build another part to the system eventually. But so this conveyor loader is going to take the polluted dirt, whisk it away where I'll use it for some other purpose. Does that make sense? Seems reasonable? Okay. These two storage bins will be loaded with sand so that the auto sweeper can also refill these things with sand. That seems sensible. Okay, so I have a way of removing the polluted dirt that these sieves produce, and I have a way of supplying them with sand, and these tasks can be handled by the auto sweeper. Everything seems totally reasonable up to this point. So let's go ahead and power the system up. Oop, wild wire there. Okay. Okay, great. Um, Next thing we'll need to do is deal with the plumbing. So these two water sieves produce 5 kilograms of water per second or whatever. Okay, so those 5 kilograms of water need to be put together into one stream. And the stream that we're working with is going to indeed, and I'm going to kind of, I don't plan on ever disconnecting this though. Trying to determine if I want to put in extra disconnects for the system. I'll go ahead and just put the extras. I'm going to put in these disconnects. So what do I mean by that? This will allow us to disconnect the water sieve from this water scheme more easily. Okay, great. So here's our output pipes. Our clean water is going to be pumped over into this system here where we're going to build that aqua tuner that we started last time. Okay. Um, so here's the input to the aqua tuner. It's down over here. Could I have built this system up here? Made it a little bit closer and more sensible? That's a really great question. Let me consider that. So I need how many tiles of space? 11. I need 11 tiles of clear space. So I'd have to cut through one of these. This is also in close proximity to my geyser here. You know what? This is totally fine. I think this is going to work great. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this here, uh, and we'll deal with this other stuff later. But I think this is nice right where it is. Okay, so we'll put this water into the aqua tuner eventually. All right, so where's the source polluted water coming from, right? Well, it's going to be coming from this tank. So let's go ahead and place a water pump in this tank. And we will pump this water out. Um, do that into both of those water sieves. And we'll power that pump up. Great. And we will control this operation with a cycle sensor. So I like to put these in case I ever want to turn this on or off. I can just easily just turn the cycle sensor on or off. So that'll work. So we've now supplied the water sieves with the polluted water, have the output heading this way, which we will figure out eventually. Go ahead and close this valve on this. So I'll turn this liquid reservoir off so that it'll save the water again now that we've emptied the tanks. Okay. Yeah, just checking our stuff over here. I think we turned this off in our last session. So okay. Um all right. So we're getting there. We're making a little bit of progress. Not as much progress as I'd like, but we might be able to assist with this by creating more follow through on our ladder setup. So by I think connecting this down with our main chamber, that's really going to help speed up the work, hopefully. Hopefully. All right, so uh, we're going to build these little ladders in here and we'll see them make quick work of this little project here. The air is pretty thin down there and mostly carbon dioxide. So I might need to do a little bit of assist with the ventilation, but with it not being pressurized, because our output is not adequate, we got to do something about that. And actually, this system will help with that process. And I can actually start building where I plan on putting the polluted dirt next. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to support this part of my uh, ventilation network with a subsystem. Um, so this wire here doesn't have much load on it. Remember, this is that separate circuit I built to go up. So this doesn't have very much on it. It's got a few devices, but most of those are low power devices, right? These aren't going to use loads of energy all the time. So I can put a little bit of load on this network. I mean, I'm already adding these two sieves and the sweeper and the pump, so that's significant. But I could add a little bit more, a few more devices onto the circuit here. So let me see if I can frame this out quite properly. So I'm going to be building a place for the polluted oxygen or polluted dirt rather to go, and it's going to be to some uh, it's going to be to some of these sublimator machines. Okay, so these produce polluted oxygen. So what I would like to do in this scenario is just create two of these machines that are going to produce polluted oxygen, and they're going to be fairly close because they're being supplied by the same sweeper machine that I'll be building. And what what is going to happen here is the I'm going to expand this little reservoir here, just a few tiles. And actually we'll move these up one tile now that I noticed that that will cause a problem. Okay, there we go. So anyways, we'll have our little sublimation stations here. And then what we'll do is kind of expand this reserve here. So I'll put tile like that. That way we'll have three possible storage things. All right, so the sweeper will pick up. Yeah. Uh, I don't know how it's going to work with the tiles in place. So I have to kind of see. It'd be ideal if it was there, but I don't know if that'll work. Hmm. Hmm. Yep, they're still working down here, making some progress. Ish. Getting some blood, sweat, and tears here. These poor guys. Some pufflet eggs. How exciting. The other guys don't have anything that's really ringing my bell, so we're gonna go with the pufflet eggs here. In fact, what we're building could turn into a pufflet farm if this produces enough polluted oxygen. So, yeah. So in terms of the sweeping piece to this project, I'm gonna go with something like this. So, um, that being said, I'll need to kind of adjust the setup here a little bit. So I'm gonna kind of think this is gonna be a little, not sure if that'll work. But um, yeah, I'm gonna kind of move some things around here. I think you'll see what I mean in a few seconds. So deconstruct this, deconstruct this. So we'll deconstruct that tile there. Might possibly mop this um, salt water up. We're getting the slime moved down to the slime supply over here, which is great. So great. Okay. So now we can design this to work with our current layout. So what I want is two little pockets of water that I can use for storage. Because I want to provide slime storage and polluted dirt storage here in this area. So to do that, I'm going to build a little, pattern here. And once they finish this little pattern, I'll pour a little bit of liquid into there, and we'll be good to go. I'll be really careful this time with the liquid pump so that I don't lose track of it and make a big disaster again. Alright, so with these insulation tiles, we're protecting this part of the base from this heat source here. So, oh, another cool steam vent is over here. That's interesting. I'm glad I spotted that. Um, anyways, so like these boundaries are going to just keep this part of the base cool and this part of the asteroid warm by preventing temperature changes over time. So you noticed I kind of cut into the ocean biome. I left some of this igneous rock and granite in place. That's because it'll hold on to its temperature longer. It's more massive than any of the tiles I can make. Um, but these insulated tiles will fight off any heat change that's being brought in from these outer areas. So, putting those insulated tiles in place just to protect the homeland, so to speak. So, no, I definitely do not think it's worth it to have two of those ferns there. I'd just much rather have the straight shot down. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I will put in place some tiles because I do want that to be a flat zone. I guess I could probably even just put in a pressure door if I wanted to keep going lower. Keep that one in mind. Alright, we're nearly there. Okay, so this water pump is now going to need to feed all of these oxyferns, all this infinite number of oxyferns we're going to have here. So we're going to need to direct that pump to do that. So I'm going to have it do a little cut over here and go all the way through. And it'll just be regular old pipe. So it shouldn't be too big of a deal. And we'll go ahead and turn off this gas valve. so it stops throwing carbon dioxide in here until I'm done. We're getting set up here. Nearly got our power. These other buildings are in the works. Let's go ahead and pour 1 canister of salt water into this place where our auto sweeper can easily reach, and we'll put our I think I do want to have a block in between, and so we can have in these positions we can have 3 storage bins, and we'll kind of go from there. So what else do I need? So because these are sublimation stations, they just produce polluted oxygen. So I'm going to need deodorizers to help clear the gases that are produced by these sublimation stations. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in place. And maybe that would be wiser to put a deodorizer here. Maybe I can put more underneath as well. And maybe some above as well. And so once I have this whole thing encircled, I know for sure it's just going to produce clean oxygen, no big deal. These guys are cramped, so let's get rid of this. Well, you know, I might want a regular hatch though. I was thinking about if I wanted to do some sage hatches, because I've got so much food. I don't even know what to do with it. So I'm thinking like maybe it'd be a good idea to use some of it for feed for hatches, some sage hatches. You know, it's challenging decisions to make. Okay, excellent. We're getting there. Now I do want to go ahead and uproot all of these. So I think that'll, nope. I'm going to have to uproot this and copy the settings. There we go. Nope, that didn't do it. Wait. Let's copy the settings now. Nope. So I'm left with no choice but to uproot all of these. It's my own fault. Guess I could deconstruct them also, but I don't want to do that. I'll take them out of position when I'm ready to do that. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have the good sense to put in a disconnect here, so now this pipe is always going to be kind of full until I get rid of all of these source buildings. Alright, so we've moved the little oxyferns down. We're still not quite finished with the plumbing piece. There it goes. Okay, so now with that in mind, it's time to uproot the remaining bit of our oxyferns. Let our little oxyferns do their work. Alright, so with that we can start to sort of reassess how we're handling our carbon dioxide flow. I think that's totally fine. Honestly, with that, not just bring the ladder a little bit further down too. Makes perfect sense. Just making some minor tweaks to the positions of things based on the good sense that these modifications are having on everything here. So, okay. Little tweaks here. Let the air flow out. We'll change that to an airflow tile. Okay. So that's going to let the carbon dioxide flow here, right? That's the theory, anyways. So get that. Put this guy in the lineup down here. All right. And we're starting to see some repressurization on the oxygen because these suit docking stations have finally fully charged. So you saw that my oxygen system was drained, was low. Well, it's back now that we've completely pressurized that those systems with the suits. So that should really help with any lingering issues. So now that we've kind of carved out a new path for the carbon dioxide gas to flow down, we'll put in some through pieces here. Like for instance, I don't need this oxyfern here anymore. I can put some airflow tiles and let that gas just drain down. Same thing here. So you know, you just kind of make some tweaks to what you have in place, and that's really going to help deal with the gas issues. Now there's a lot of solid tile here still, so I need to change that. And so we'll go ahead and start with airflow tiles on the corners here, but we've got to delete these hydroponic farms first, and then we can place the tiles. We'll get these and really turn this into a straight shot down. Oh gosh, how'd this pip get out? It's the last thing I need in my life is a rogue pip. Alright, how are we doing up here? Okay, so we're getting there. We'll... Oh, guess they haven't done a saltwater errand yet. Let's just boost that to 6 so that somebody does a delivery. Here they come. Good job. Alright, so... That's hardly any liquid at all, but that should be enough. Doesn't take much to make that pressure thing happen. So now we can put in our slime. And we can put in our polluted dirt. We can put those at 6s. Or what are the other ones set to? 7s? Yeah, okay, put them at 7s. Okay, fabulous. Alright, so everything is looking really nice so far. There's a couple of loose ends we need to deal with. So these need to be set to filtration medium. so that they can do the supply errand on the water sieve. And these need to be, these are set, but we got to get some electricity to these deodorizers. Alright, nearly there. And I'd like to just put a couple more airflow, another deodorizer above, just to make sure this whole area is completely sterilized. I hope that is perhaps a little overkill, but I do think it's smart just to be, because I'm going to use this to produce more oxygen for the base, essentially. I mean, this is becoming a part of the oxygen production network. Alright, so this is going to take in polluted dirt. Let's get that polluted dirt. Organic. Right. Now, the conveyor rail is going to be made out of, I guess we could do aluminum. It's going to go up. It's going to be right over here. And then it's going to drop that polluted dirt right within reach of the auto sweeper. And the auto sweeper will be able to then supply the sublimator. And that is going to be a completely integrated component to this water filtration system. So it should be pretty much a complete package. There shouldn't be any real difficulty in terms of the dupes needing to maintain the system very much. It should pretty much just take care of itself. So we'll just kind of keep our fingers crossed as they keep building it, and we'll eventually flip the switch and see it run. Alright, meanwhile over here we've got, you know, the issue of our oxyferns looking happy, but we do need to clear a little bit of additional space here. There is a swirling miasma of gas everywhere right now. You see all these swirls of gas. Everything is trying to get itself sorted out as we're doing this massive reconfiguration of the base. Alright, so let's put some airflow in place. So I'm kind of following the lead of the line above. Right, put those in place and do the same thing above. So we'll do one tile at a time to prevent serious disruptions to the traffic. Another printable. Alright, check out these little friends here. A little bit of an all-arounder with a good set of perks. Volpop. Another all-arounder, not as good set of perks. And this chef, who I don't really need. So, small bladder is kind of annoying. Maybe I'll just go with the Volpup. Look at that little Volpup running around, just getting wherever it can get. Little wacky dude. Gonna wrangle that stone guy. He's not supposed to be out and about like that. Alright, so with our carbon dioxide sink nearly complete, I'm going to go ahead and throw down those additional hydroponic farm tiles. Or are we? Let's actually mop this up first, and then we'll do that. And we're going to have to kind of think about how we want this to work. Now, right now, these hydroponic farms still do require some support. So it's my hope that I'll be able to automate these largely, um, one way or another. Does that make sense? So I'm either going to put my sweepers above and feed these things their dirt, or I'll put the sweepers below and feed them their dirt. And I'm tempted to do it above just because that sort of makes more sense. So let's go ahead and talk through that solution while I'm thinking about doing it. Um, so we'll have a sweeper that can get to all of the tiles it needs to reach. Just want to make sure. Wish I could get this little tooltip to go away. It's kind of interfering in what I can see. Okay, so there. All right, so at that position, I'm getting pretty good coverage, right? All right, so with the sweeper there, I'll have to wait for them to build it to see where it can reach again. I can probably put a supply container here with the dirt that is required, right? Then I can have another sweeper further along that has access to that same supply container and can feed the rest of those. So now they're sharing a supply container, right? So there's a little bit of overlap between the two of them, but mostly they're going to take care of the dirt supplying errand if I cut this part. So, yeah, that'll help tremendously with the maintenance. And I may do the same thing over here. I may do another pair of sweepers and so that the oxyferns are supplied by dirt from a machine versus dirt from a person, a dupe doing the chore. So, we'll keep plugging away here, trying to get this stuff taken care of. Again, it's opening up a lot of opportunity in here for making some changes and getting some upgrades or updates, additional structures, housing, whatever I need. I've made space for it by moving this down. That was kind of what I was seeing is a necessary thing to do here. All right, so considering how I need to devise some airflow, I'll kind of take a page from over here, just do a couple of 2 spots. So I'll try and space them out nice. Maybe I'll do 3 spots centered on the lamps. That seems like a nice choice. And I'll do the same below. That way the air will flow downwards through the base and hit those oxyferns. Alright, so with these auto sweepers in these orientations, I'm going to have a hard time getting across, but if I flip them, like so, I should be able to build ladders and kind of have my dupes slide right across. So I'm going to switch those orientations around real fast, place those ladders so that we can continue to work on the project here. That's going to work very nicely. We can get some dirt in here. Probably have several loads of dirt across these tiles I have available, but we'll just do the dirt that we need. Cultivatable soil. There we go. You can kind of already see that after making some changes, we see the swirl and ebb of the gas starting to stabilize. Kind of notice the storm cloud of carbon dioxide over here. And what this is sort of saying is, hey, we probably need a little bit of a higher pressure over here to get this to flow. Get that to flow out. So what I may do is just pull a line off of the ventilation system and pressurize over here so that this carbon dioxide flows into the sink and gets caught up with these oxyferns. So let's make a quick tweak to that while I have it in front of my thought process here. So we'll go ahead and just pull that line down and got to be kind of careful. This is up high in the air. So maybe I'll even do it, I'll kind of kick the vent back and then do the gas pipe here. And we'll do the sensor over here maybe or something like that. That'd be nice. So we'll get our atmospheric sensor and our wire in place. And we're ready to roll. So pressurizing this should force this carbon dioxide out and down into the depths of the base here. So, additional moves that need to be made. Let's check up with our, yep, we're still working on these little system here. Notice we're at max gas pressure. So we could start harvesting this oxygen. And again, I was thinking about setting up a set of pumps to push into the ventilation system, but it doesn't seem like that's necessary now that the oxygen has pressurized here. So at least we have it at our disposal once this project gets finished. Yeah, so we'll kind of hold off for a few seconds. Notice there's kind of a miasma of polluted oxygen forming over here. And we're safe from it because there's plenty of processing over here, but it'll eventually just kind of look annoying and be germy if I let this get out of control. So I might go ahead and just leapfrog over with a couple more oxidizers just so that this plane is stable and there's not going to be a lot of germs in the air. Yeah, it's Deodorizer spam for the win. At least in a map like this. A little extra. Alright. So that'll be another chore for them on their to-do list. Checking our reports. How are we doing with power? Well, no plug slug overproduction. Let's talk about power usage and power production. So here we see power usage, natural gas, plug slug. So we're still getting a good benefit from the plug slug farm, although we are spending a little bit more energy with some of the equipment that we've been running. So that's interesting. Got pips loose. It's just a mess. Look at all these pips. They're just running around, causing trouble. God knows where those other pips got off to. You'll notice all my crabs died. I just have the hardest time with these pinch row critters. Just for whatever reason, I just can't seem to feed them. Alright. So now we kind of are at a bit of a crossroads here because we're getting carbon dioxide buildup over here. And that's because we just haven't finished the project. really. There'll always be carbon dioxide under here. And, I guess I don't really care, but at some point I'll modify this to add more water to this reservoir because we're eventually going to run out. Um, but yeah, I'll go ahead and put in place um, our last few hydroponic farms here. Now, so here's the problem, right? I got all these pipes up here, um, all these darn hydroponic farm tiles that I gotta recycle. So I'm gonna just kind of take them out one at a time, half and half, so that they can still walk across even if there's holes in there. We'll fill them up with tiles or airflow tiles and then finish the modification here. Alright, so we are coming up on the end of the episode here, um, with some of these last minute tweaks to kind of tidy up what we were doing over here. We're also going to build that refrigerator because we need another refrigerator. We've got a lot of food and we don't want it to go to waste, so I'm kind of like taking them out one at a time, and then we'll put in the airflow tile we need where the airflow tile is supposed to go and put regular old tiles in the other spots. What is this little person doing? Oh, she's trying to lure a critter that's like a million miles away. It's bonkers. Finish this little piece here, and I'll feel pretty confident about our progress on this modification to the base. So look at us. We've now refactored or reconfigured our carbon dioxide sink. It's now given us additional space to work with inside the base while providing carbon dioxide flow from the right and left side of the base. So this is going to be a much more sustainable configuration. Um, I've got this gas reservoir for holding carbon dioxide, so I might move this system eventually. Maybe even put it down here. I've got these ice. This ice is stored in here. I might move it down into the water. Of course, I better do that pretty quick. I can just imagine like that ice melting and just making a big mess everywhere. So we'll just go ahead and put that right in there. But yeah, things are looking like we've managed to tame a little bit of a beast here. And once we have some of this, stuff taken care of, we'll be really in good shape. Oh gosh, they released the pips over here. And they haven't finished cleaning up, but I think they got most of the seeds. So, I guess if I just, this is kind of happy accident, like they're starting to do the thimbleweed farm. So, let's just go ahead and let them do it. And we'll get a big old thimbleweed farm up here. Eventually. Yeah. Right, so if it is below 1500, hopefully that'll help. I might even put an airflow tile on the corner here. That sometimes can help. make a sort of flow. So we'll do what we can just to make this work. Much better. Okay, that brings us to cycle 191 in the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed the work we did here with this refactor on this carbon sink. I hope you enjoy the build that we did to do some water processing. I know we haven't turned that system on yet, but we will. And we turn that water processing polluted dirt straight into oxygen. Uh, so as this produces polluted dirt, it'll go into this system here and use that polluted dirt to make oxygen, which will be purified by our deodorizers, which surround the system. Brilliant! Hope you think so, anyways. Maybe your cat thinks so, if you have a cat, that is. So, meanwhile, over here, we've got uh, our pips. I think they're going to actually start to do some work with these thimble reeds, although it seems like there was a little bit of a disagreement about whether or not to plant it just now. I might have to get rid of this water weed in here. But, uh, hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll be seeing you next time.